They say that some doors are best left unopened. Well, that certainly proves true when those doors lead to the final resting place of an ancient ruler. From vengeful pharaohs to cursed artifacts, these are 5 ancient tombs that were never meant to be found. And now we know why. Number 5. The Tomb of Qin Shi Huang. When someone is so obsessed with immortality that they build an entire army of life-size terracotta soldiers to guard their tomb, you just know you're dealing with an emperor who wasn't messing around. Of course, I'm talking about China's first great emperor, the first man to unite the warring states of China into one empire in 206 BCE. Over the next 14 years, he would rule over a united China, expand its borders, and even wage war against nomadic tribes to the north. He was also obsessed with alchemy and finding the secret of immortality. It led him to consume copious amounts of mercury in the form of pills, which ultimately resulted in his death. After he died, his entire fleet of ships carrying his coffin and a small army of attendants were all sacrificed and thrown into the river. Eventually, his grand tomb was lost to history until archaeologists found the entrance 1,700 years later in 1974. Since then, only a fraction of the vast complex has been excavated. A large part of it is still buried beneath 8 feet of solid rock. The reason? There's no easy answer. There have been numerous attempts at opening the tomb. For example, in 1980, an oxygen-fueled electric drill was used to bore holes through the rock. Later, workers tried digging a tunnel via a water well, but both attempts had to be abandoned before reaching the chamber because of structural concerns. With such a huge risk of collapse and further damage to the tomb, experts believe that we simply aren't ready yet to open the tomb of the first emperor of China. What do you think? Are the risks worth it, or should the tomb remain undisturbed? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for more videos about history's most fascinating subjects. Number 4. The Curse of the Tomb of Tutankhamun. This famous curse was born out of sensationalism and fear, but it became a thing after a British journalist wrote about the supposed prophecy made by an Egyptian priestess upon the discovery of King Tut's tomb in 1922. It went like this: "The man who disturbs the sleep of the just shall himself be disturbed in his or her own sleep." At the time, Howard Carter didn't listen to the warning and decided to ignore the supposed curse. Unfortunately for Carter, shortly after he entered the tomb, his team began getting sick. One member developed malaria, another suffered a snake bite, then another got bitten by a scorpion, yet another succumbed to a mosquito-borne disease and died. Each person who entered the tomb started getting sick and dying. Carter himself would suffer a severe fall and almost die. People immediately began to blame the curse. The press picked up on it, and soon the entire world was buzzing about how the tomb was cursed. However, over time, more rational minds came to the conclusion that there was a much simpler explanation. The tomb was extremely stale, so when people entered it, they breathed in the bacteria and fungus inside. This caused them to get sick, and some of them even go blind or die. Today, the tomb remains largely unchanged, not because of any curse, but because of our inability to properly preserve it for modern times. Number 3. The unopened tombs of the Valley of the Kings. Deep in Egypt's Valley of the Kings lies a cluster of tombs carved into the mountainside. Between 1543 and 1081 BC, 63 pharaohs and queens were laid to rest here, including some of Egypt's most infamous rulers, like Ramesses III and Seti I. Some tombs remained empty, while others contained 2 or 3 mummies. As you can imagine, excavating these tombs has proven to be quite a task. In fact, many of them still remain untouched. The reason being, once again, that we simply aren't ready to fully excavate them. Experts have said that the Valley of the Kings is too fragile to continue digging. In addition, many of the tombs are filled with dangerous traps, things like poisonous darts and tripwires. Others are filled with scavengers, grave robbers who looted the tombs long ago. Finally, some of the tombs are filled with poisonous gases that could kill anyone who enters. Of course, despite all these dangers, humans are naturally curious. We want to see what's inside these tombs, and we've already done a lot of damage to the tombs that are open to the public. To prevent any further damage, authorities have shut off access to the Valley of the Kings. No one is allowed inside. While it's tempting to think that someday we may find something amazing in one of these unopened tombs, it's better to leave them alone rather than risk destroying them. Number 2, the Tomb of the Red Queen. Hidden deep within the walls of Cambodia's Angkor Thom lies the Bayon Temple. Built around 1200 AD, the temple is mostly known for its 50-year reign of the enigmatic Smile God. But few know about the possible tomb of the Red Queen. According to legend, the Red Queen was the wife of Jayavarman VII, the king of the Khmer Empire. She was called the Red Queen due to her red hair, which was considered an exotic trait in the region. But before she became the queen, she was a fierce warrior. During her travels, she hunted animals for sport, wearing ornaments made of their skins. But when she eventually took the throne, she grew bored with ruling. She allegedly spent her days drinking, dancing, and having parties. Eventually, she met a brutal end. While bathing one day, one of her maids spilled water on her. Enraged, the queen ordered her servant to be put to death. But this enraged the spirit of the maid. Before she died, she placed a curse on the Red Queen. According to the legend, the Red Queen was immediately struck by a bolt from the sky and was killed instantly. Her body was then taken away and secretly buried somewhere within the walls of the Bayon Temple. Historians have been searching for her tomb ever since, but they've been unable to find it. Experts believe that the story might be false. If it isn't, the tomb remains undiscovered. Number 1. The Tomb of the Moche Lords. Located along Peru's northern coast, the Huaca del Toro site is home to several pre-Columbian adobe pyramids and temples. But it's most famous for the Sipan Pyramid. Built between the years 100 and 700 AD, the pyramid was the seat of the Moche Kingdom. Archaeologists discovered this back in 1938, but they weren't prepared to find an intact tomb. In total, 250 finely crafted artifacts were found, including ceramics, textiles, jewelry, weapons, and ornaments. While all these treasures were incredible finds, they quickly began to deteriorate. The elaborate wooden coffin had already begun to rot. Other organic materials were at risk of deteriorating too. In order to preserve the treasures, experts had to remove them from the tomb. That's when they found the remains of 2 adult Moche lords. Strangely enough, both bodies had been buried with dozens of offerings. This included several ritual items, animal remains, and precious metals. But oddly enough, they weren't buried together. Instead, they were buried 15 feet apart from each other. Researchers believe they were husband and wife, but they died at different times. They were then buried together in the same tomb. It's unclear why they chose to do this. Researchers have put forward theories, but they can't be certain. We also don't know the names of either of the Moche lords, or their lineage. We don't know how they rose to power, or who they ruled over. Basically, the identity of the Moche lords is a complete mystery. It's unknown if they even had a name. Because their origins are a mystery, researchers are hesitant to disturb the tomb further. Even though the artifacts have been removed, the Moche lords still lay in their tomb, and experts say they're probably best left there. Thanks for watching. Which of these tombs did you find the most interesting? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos about history's most fascinating subjects.